talking to you about the unique biology of carnivorous plants. Botanists define carnivorous plants as any plant that can capture prey, then digest the prey, which can be done by the plant or by other organisms like capsid bugs or fly larvae. I'll elaborate on that in future videos. And then the plant has to absorb those nutrients and directly benefit from doing so. If a plant doesn't do all of these three things, then it is not carnivorous. While most plants don't fit this definition, there are actually around 700 to 1,000 species that do. I know that's a pretty wide range, but taxonomy can get confusing with carnivorous plants. There are 5 basic types of traps that carnivorous plants can have. The type of trap depends on the species. The first one on the left is the pitfall trap. This is one of the most common types of trap, since it's just a rolled up leaf and is therefore very easy for plants to evolve, as opposed to a completely new structure for trapping prey. In a pitfall trap, prey, usually attracted by sweet scents or trails of nectar, falls into and drowns in a pool of digestive enzymes in the middle of the leaf. There are commonly stiff, downwards pointing hairs or a slippery inner surface of the trap to prevent prey from climbing out. This next one is called an adhesive trap. This is another very common one, as it can easily evolve from a common defensive mechanism into a method of prey capture. There are hairs on the leaves and stems that are all tipped with drops of liquid. Most insects get water from droplets of dew, so they land on the leaf to get a drink. The droplets are very sticky, and prey becomes stuck on the leaf. Insects have holes in the sides of their body called spiracles through which they breathe, and the liquid can clog those spiracles and therefore drown the insect. The liquid also contains digestive enzymes to break down the prey into nutrients that are then absorbed through the leaves. The one in the center here is the snap trap. This is a relatively complex trapping mechanism that is only used by 2 closely related species of plants, the Venus flytrap and its aquatic relative Aldrovanda. Prey crawls or swims onto the leaf surface, and the motion is detected by trigger hairs in the trap when prey bumps into them. The leaf quickly folds in response, trapping the prey inside. The edges of the leaf create an airtight seal, and digestive enzymes are released to break down and absorb nutrients from the prey. Next is the lobster pot trap, used by 3 types of carnivorous plant. This one is very similar in structure to the pitfall trap and is a modified version of it. Prey enters the trap through a small hole and is actually lured away from the exit by white spots that you should be able to see towards the top of the trap in the picture. These spots, which are a structure called fenestrations, are actually somewhat clear and allow light into the trap, as opposed to the dark pigmentation around the opening. This tricks the prey into believing that by going farther into the trap, towards the light, it will get closer to escaping. Like in many pitfall traps, stiff hairs make it almost impossible to go anywhere except closer to the digestive enzymes in the bottom. This is just one example of a lobster pot trap. Any trap that's made in a way that allows prey to go in farther but not to go back is a lobster pot trap. The last one on the right is a suction trap. This is only used by one type of carnivorous plant, Utricularia, also known as bladderworts. This structure is a hollow sac, only 1 cell thick, that has an airtight seal and a vacuum inside of it. When prey touches the trigger hairs, the door to the trap opens incredibly fast, allowing water to rush into the trap and carry the prey with it. The door then immediately closes again and forms a new seal. The water in the trap is then replaced with digestive enzymes. It takes a complex and very rare set of circumstances for a carnivorous plant to evolve. Here's one good example of a place where that happened, tens of millions of years ago. The Venezuelan Depuys. These are massive, flat-topped mountains, several thousand feet tall, that extend above the rainforests and savannas below them, all the way up above the clouds. Venezuela is a very cloudy place because of all the rainforests. The clouds will generally move up the sides of the tepuis and create a thick fog on top. They rain onto the tepuis, and there can be more than 90 feet of rain every year. There isn't really soil on the tepuis, instead it's just loose gravel and sand, and plants just grow in their own dead leaves. Because of all that rain, there is constantly water flowing through the ground. This water picks up any nutrients or dissolved solids in the ground and then dumps them into the rainforest in massive waterfalls, leaving behind only the inert and nutrient-devoid sandstone gravel. This incredibly wet and nutrient-poor environment means that very few plants are capable of growing on top of the tepuis. Some, like the sparse bromeliads and orchids, can absorb nutrients and water directly from the air, but that provides them with very little and they grow slowly as a result. This has forced many of the native plants to evolve into carnivorous plants, as a way of providing themselves with enough nutrients to grow. This doesn't work extremely well, and they only survive because other plants can barely grow at all, so they don't get outcompeted like they would in a more nutrient-rich environment. This is just one example, and carnivorous plants have evolved numerous times in similar environments, independently from each other, all over the world. Many people assume that carnivorous plants are somehow superior to other plants. This is not at all true. Plants need both energy and nutrients. Most plants have leaves made specifically to photosynthesize and gather energy from doing so. Carnivorous plants have leaves made for trapping prey instead, but they only gain nutrients from that, and they still need the energy from the sun to digest that prey. This creates a problem. Plants need both nutrients and energy, but their leaves can only be made to gather one of those things. Usually, this isn't a problem because nutrients can be gathered through the roots. Carnivorous plants, of course, have leaves made for getting nutrients because the soil has none. Their leaves are very inefficient at photosynthesis as a result. This means that they require very bright light to get enough energy to survive at all, and they don't grow very quickly. Because of this, carnivorous plants are not only restricted to low-nutrient habitats, but also habitats with no trees or tall grasses and bushes that could restrict the plant's access to light. Common environments for carnivorous plants to inhabit include swampy savannas and bogs where fire frequently clears out trees, limestone cliffs that face the sun, and gravelly soils where water washes away nutrients. You probably remember the definition of a carnivorous plant from earlier in the video. A plant that can capture prey, digest that prey, then absorb the nutrients from the prey and directly benefit from doing so. You can see the plant on the left here, Ceracinia Leucophylla, has an obvious pitfall trap. Prey is attracted by floral scents, it falls into the trap and drowns in a pool of digestive enzymes. It gets digested, and then the plant absorbs the nutrients and uses them to grow. However, not all plants are so clearly carnivorous. Some obviously aren't, like a patch of moss. Some fall into the definition of sub-carnivorous plants. A plant that meets one or two of the criteria for being considered carnivorous, but not all three, is a sub-carnivore. Eucnidae urens, the plant on the right, is a good example of this. It can capture insects using the hairs on its stems and leaves, which are very sticky and technically an adhesive trap. However, it produces no digestive enzymes, and the hairs are exclusively a defense mechanism, to kill insects before they can damage the plant. There are also many, many species of plants that can absorb nutrients through their leaves and benefit from doing so. However, they have no adaptations for prey capture. Is this plant carnivorous isn't a yes or no question. All plants fall somewhere on a spectrum of non-carnivorous to carnivorous. If a species of sub-carnivorous plant finds itself in an environment with low nutrients, it may go one step farther and evolve to use its pre-existing adaptations for prey capture. However, sub-carnivorous plants often stay sub-carnivorous, and usually evolve back into completely average plants. Just because it appears to be evolving carnivory doesn't mean that it will. It's not like the plant has a specific evolutionary goal that it's trying to reach. That's all for this video. I will be making a video series on carnivorous plants, so expect to see more videos on this in the future. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer them as soon as possible. Bye!